She mistook him for the new intern. He let her believe it. Until she walked into his office the next. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Let's meet our main character, Emma. Emma sat nervously at the corner of the cozy restaurant, her eyes scanning the room. The soft hum of conversation and clinking silverware filled the air, the warm glow of the lights casting a golden hue over everything. It was the kind of place where every plate felt like a work of art, and every person seemed to belong. But not Emma. She adjusted the hem of her second-hand dress, glancing down at her scuffed shoes. She couldn't help but feel out of place, like a fish out of water. I promised Jenny I'd do this, she thought to herself, trying to steady her nerves. She was a waitress, nothing glamorous, but she had big dreams. She dreamed of owning an art studio one day, far away from this reality of tight budgets and overdue bills. The table number on the screen flashed again. Table 7, she muttered, her heart racing. She was late, and this blind date was supposed to be her big break, or at least, a distraction from her stressful life. She took a deep breath and walked toward the back of the restaurant, where a sharply dressed man sat alone, engrossed in his phone. His dark hair was neatly styled, and he looked like someone who belonged in a high-end magazine, not a low-key restaurant like this. She couldn't help but admire his perfect posture and expensive-looking suit. This must be him, she thought, swallowing her nerves. She approached his table, her smile awkward but bright. "Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you." The man looked up, his dark eyes locking onto hers. There was a brief moment of confusion on his face, but he quickly recovered. Hi Emma," he said, his voice slightly strained. He stared at her for a moment, almost as if he was trying to figure her out. Emma, assuming he was just shy, slid into the seat across from him, trying to ease the tension. "I know this is awkward," she said, "blind dates are weird, right?" She forced a laugh, trying to fill the silence. The man, Kevin, opened his mouth to speak but paused. He had just received a message on his phone, cancelling a meeting. Something about Emma's genuine smile and the nervous energy she exuded made him hesitate. Normally, he would have corrected her right away, but for some reason, he didn't. Instead, he smiled faintly. "Right. Blind dates are something else." Emma laughed again, her nerves slowly melting away. She felt more at ease now, especially with someone who didn't seem so stiff. As they began chatting, she found herself talking more than usual, sharing stories about her life, her job, and her passion for art. Kevin listened attentively, nodding occasionally, but he didn't say much. She figured he was just the quiet type, and besides, she was fine talking enough for both of them. She even joked about how terrible she was with computers, jokingly suggesting he must be some kind of tech genius. Kevin's smile widened just a little. "Something like that," he said, his voice smooth. They continued their conversation, with Emma doing most of the talking, her excitement about her dreams of opening an art studio spilling out. For the first time in a long while, she felt like someone was really listening to her, without judgment. As the conversation continued, Emma's phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it, her heart sinking as she saw a message from Jenny. "Hey, Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Her stomach flipped. She froze for a second, looking up at the man in front of her. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Kevin's smile faltered for a moment, and guilt flickered in his eyes. "No, I'm not," he admitted, his voice quiet but sincere. Emma's face turned bright red, and she bolted out of her seat. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she mumbled, grabbing her coat and running out of the restaurant, her heart pounding in her chest. Kevin watched her go, his feelings a mix of regret and something. else he couldn't quite place. He'd meant to correct her from the start, but now, as he watched her disappear through the door, he realized he didn't want it to end that way. He was left wondering if he'd ever see her again, and why the thought of never seeing her again bothered him so much. The next morning, Emma awoke to the sound of her phone buzzing. She groggily reached for it, squinting at the screen. It was a message from Jenny. "Hey, are you okay? You ran off last night. That was super weird. LOL. Emma's face flushed red again as she remembered the night before. She hadn't just walked out of the restaurant, she had practically bolted. Her heart was still racing just thinking about it. She had made such a fool of herself. She could hardly believe that, in a moment of pure embarrassment, she had literally fled from the man she thought was her blind date. She could still feel the burn in her cheeks from the humiliation. "This is ridiculous," she muttered under her breath. She tossed the phone aside, burying her face in the pillow. "Get a grip, Emma," she thought, trying to push the thought of Kevin, or rather, Liam, out of her mind. The truth hit her again, like a punch in the stomach. Liam wasn't just some random guy at a table. He was Liam Parker, CEO of a major tech company. And she had mistaken him for a mere intern. A nervous laugh escaped her lips. What was wrong with her? Of all the places to make a complete fool of herself, it had to be with him. Liam Parker, the man she could never afford to embarrass. But then again, maybe that was why she had acted the way she had. She had nothing to lose, right? What did it matter? She wasn't part of his world. She wasn't like those polished, perfect women who were always trying to catch his attention. She was just Emma, a waitress, with big dreams and even bigger insecurities. She rolled out of bed and made her way to the kitchen, the weight of her thoughts pulling her down. As she waited for her coffee to brew, she couldn't help but wonder what Liam was thinking. He had looked at her in that strange, quiet way. He hadn't corrected her at first, just letting the moment unfold. And when she had run out, what had he felt? Did he find it amusing, or did he just think she was some silly girl who didn't belong? The doorbell suddenly rang, breaking her thoughts. She wasn't expecting anyone. Hesitantly, she walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw who was standing outside. It was him, Liam Parker. He was holding a coffee cup in his hand, looking more relaxed than he had the night before, but still impossibly well-dressed, his suit crisp and his hair perfectly styled. Her stomach did a flip. She opened the door, trying to hide the shock in her expression. "Liam. What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice shaky. Liam's lips curled into a slight smile as he held out the coffee cup. "I thought you might need one of these," he said casually, as though it was the most natural thing in the world. "You left in quite a hurry last night." Emma blinked, trying to gather her thoughts. I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I didn't mean to run off like that. I was embarrassed." Liam took a step forward, his eyes warm, and placed the coffee on her doorstep. "It's all right," he said with a shrug, "I get it. Blind dates can be awkward." Emma bit her lip. Was he being sincere, or was he just trying to make her feel better? "But, Liam continued, I've been thinking. Maybe we should actually talk. Not as a blind date, but just as people. No expectations." Emma looked up at him, her heart racing. Was this really happening? She had barely processed the fact that he was Liam Parker, and now he was standing in front of her, asking to talk as if nothing had happened. I don't know what to say," Emma said, her voice barely a whisper. Liam smiled again, that easygoing smile that seemed to put her at ease. "No need to say anything. Just meet me for lunch? I'll be at the park in about an hour. I promise no awkwardness this time. Just a couple of people getting to know each other." He turned to walk away, leaving her standing there, unsure of what to do. Her mind was racing. Was this some kind of joke? He had to be testing her. Right? He was Liam Parker, after all, why would he want to have lunch with her? Still, there was something genuine in his eyes that made her want to believe him. After a moment of hesitation, Emma took a deep breath and made up her mind. She grabbed her jacket and headed out the door, determined to see where this would go. She had nothing to lose, right? What was the worst that could happen? The moment she stepped outside, she felt the cool breeze brush against her skin. The world felt different somehow. Was this the start of something new? Something real? Or was she just fooling herself? She wasn't sure yet, but one thing was for certain: today, she wasn't going to run away. She was going to see this through, whatever it was. As she walked toward the park, her heart beat a little faster, and for the first time in a while, she felt something other than fear. Could this be the chance she had been waiting for? Or would she end up getting her heart broken again? Only time would tell. The park was busier than Emma expected. It was a perfect day, bright, sunny, and warm, with just the right amount of breeze to make the afternoon pleasant. As she walked through the park, she couldn't shake the nervous energy running through her. She kept replaying the moment when Liam had shown up at her door, holding that coffee cup like it was something entirely casual, when in reality, it was the most surreal thing that had happened to her in months. She had never imagined that someone like him would seek her out after she had literally run out of the restaurant the night before. But here she was, heading to meet him. Was this a dream? Was this some kind of trick? She pushed the thoughts aside as she arrived at the park's main square, where Liam had said he would be. It didn't take long to spot him. He was sitting on a bench near the fountain, dressed casually this time in a pair of jeans and a button-up shirt. He looked completely different from the man she had met at the restaurant. Gone were the polished, crisp details of a businessman. Here, he looked normal. He looked approachable, almost like a regular guy. She paused for a moment before walking over to him. When he noticed her, he stood up and greeted her with that same warm smile, the one that had been hard to read last night. "Hey," he said, his voice easygoing. "I'm glad you came." Emma smiled nervously, still unsure of how to act around him. "Yeah, me too," she replied, sitting down on the bench beside him. "I wasn't sure if this was a bad idea or not." Liam chuckled softly. "I get it. It's not every day someone runs out on you." Emma bit her lip, a small laugh escaping her as she turned her head away. "Yeah, that was embarrassing," she admitted. "I just didn't know what to do. I thought you were just some intern, and then I realized who you were, and I just panicked." Liam's smile faded slightly, but there was no hint of judgment in his eyes. Instead, he looked thoughtful for a moment. "You didn't need to run, Emma," he said softly. "I wasn't offended. Honestly, I'm just glad you didn't fake it." Emma looked at him, surprised by his words. "What do you mean?" "Well, it's easy to pretend around someone like me. People tend to act differently when they think I'm someone important, someone they need to impress," Liam explained. "But you didn't. You were real with me. That's refreshing." Emma was quiet for a moment, her thoughts turning over his words. It was hard to believe someone like Liam could think of her as a refreshing. He was Liam Parker, a successful CEO of a major tech company. He could have any woman he wanted, and yet here he was, talking to her, as if she were on the same level as him. I don't know what to say," Emma admitted, her voice small. "I'm just a waitress. I don't have anything to offer you, Liam. I don't even know what this is. Why are you even here, talking to me?" Liam turned to her, his expression serious. "Because you're interesting, Emma. And you're not just trying to use me to get ahead. You didn't even know who I was until last night. I appreciate that. Most people would have been all over me as soon as they found out who I was." Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. She wasn't used to being complimented, let alone by someone like Liam. "I don't know if I can handle this," she said, shaking her head. "I mean, what do we even have in common? You're a billionaire CEO, and I'm just trying to pay rent every month. My life's a mess." Liam reached out, placing a hand gently on hers. Maybe. But we both know what it's like to feel like you don't belong. You don't have to have everything figured out, Emma. We all have our struggles, no matter how much money we have. His words took her by surprise. She hadn't expected him to be so open, so genuine. She glanced down at their hands, feeling the warmth from his touch seep into her skin. For a moment, she forgot about everything, the awkwardness, the distance, the difference in their lives. All that mattered was the connection they were starting to build. I'm not used to this, Emma admitted quietly. To feeling like I'm worth something, I mean. Liam smiled softly. You are. Trust me. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, least of all me. But I think you're worth getting to know. Emma's heart fluttered at his words. Could this be real? Was she really sitting here, on this bench, talking to him like they were equals? She couldn't remember the last time she felt so seen, so understood. Maybe, just maybe, this was the chance she had been waiting for all along. Liam stood up, offering his hand to her. Let's take a walk, he said. I want to show you something. Emma hesitated for a moment, then took his hand. Whatever this was, whatever was happening between them, she wasn't going to run away this time. She was going to see it through, even if she had no idea where it would lead. Emma hesitated for a moment before taking Liam's hand. As her fingers brushed against his, a small shiver ran down her spine. The touch was warm, comforting, and unexpectedly intimate. She had never imagined that a man like Liam Parker, someone so successful, so out of her league, would be standing here, offering his hand like this. She thought about pulling away, about how everything between them was so new, so uncertain, but instead, she squeezed his hand, allowing herself to follow his lead. They walked through the park together, the sounds of the fountain in the distance and the rustling of leaves creating a calming atmosphere around them. Liam spoke about the park, how he used to come here when he was younger, before the pressure of his career took over. He mentioned how simple things like this, taking a walk, enjoying the fresh air, had become rare moments of peace for him. Emma listened, surprised by how easy it felt to talk to him. He wasn't the cold, distant CEO she had imagined. There was a warmth to him that she hadn't expected, a humanity she couldn't ignore. They reached a quiet corner of the park, where a small cafe with outdoor seating stood. Liam gestured to one of the tables, and they sat down, still talking casually. The waiter brought over their drinks. Emma had ordered a simple iced coffee, while Liam had chosen something a little fancier, a latte with an extra shot of espresso. For the first time in what felt like ages, Emma felt like she wasn't pretending. She wasn't playing a role or trying to impress anyone. She was just Emma, sitting across from a man who had no reason to care about her, yet here he was, showing interest, asking about her life. So, tell me more about this art studio you've been dreaming about, Liam asked, his voice casual but genuinely interested. Emma paused for a moment, unsure of how to respond. It felt strange, talking about her dreams with someone like him. Well, I've always loved art. Ever since I was a little kid, I would sketch and paint. I've always wanted to open a place where I could not only sell my work but also teach others. But, she trailed off, her voice faltering. But what? Liam prompted gently. She looked down at her drink, feeling the weight of her insecurities. But I'm just a waitress, she continued quietly. I don't have the money, the connections, anything, really. It feels like a stupid dream. One that's never going to happen. Liam leaned forward slightly, his expression softening. You're wrong, he said, his voice firm but kind. There's nothing stupid about following your dreams. I'm sure you have the talent to make it happen. You just need someone who believes in you. Emma looked up, her heart skipping a beat. You believe in me? She asked, surprised. Liam smiled, a little smirk playing at the corner of his lips. Why not? I think you're one of the most authentic people I've met in a long time. It's not about money or status. It's about passion, hard work, and believing in yourself. Emma felt a flutter in her chest. She had never been the type of person who believed in herself. Not truly. But hearing Liam say those words made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she could change that. They sat in silence for a few moments, the atmosphere between them comfortable but charged with something unspoken. Emma couldn't help but think about how quickly things had changed. Just last night, she had run out of a restaurant, humiliated and convinced that she didn't belong in Liam's world. But now, sitting here with him, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Real hope. Not just for her art, but for her life in general. Maybe this was the beginning of something more than just a fleeting encounter. Maybe this was the start of a new chapter. "Liam," she said, her voice a little unsure but determined. "Why did you really come to find me? I mean, after everything that happened last night, why are you still here, talking to me?" Liam paused for a moment, his expression thoughtful. He took a sip of his drink before answering, "Because I think you're worth getting to know, Emma. I don't want to just be another guy who comes into your life for a moment and then disappears. I want to be someone who's there for you, even if that means supporting your dream, or just being a friend. You don't have to be anyone else around me." Emma's heart thudded loudly in her chest. The sincerity in his voice made her feel like maybe she wasn't just a waitress after all. Maybe she was worthy of something more, something real. But before she could respond, Liam stood up, extending his hand again. "Come on," he said with a smile. "Let's take another walk. I've got a place I want to show you." Emma hesitated for a second, unsure of what was coming next, but then took his hand once more, feeling a sense of trust she hadn't felt in a long time. As they walked through the park together, she realized that this wasn't just some random date, some fleeting interaction. This was something different. Something worth pursuing. And for the first time in a long time, Emma allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could make her dreams come true. Not just in art, but in life. And as she walked beside Liam, she felt like she was stepping into a future she had once only dared to dream about. As they walked through the park, Liam led Emma toward a quiet area at the edge of a small lake. The sounds of the city were muffled here, replaced by the soft chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves. The air was fresh, and the atmosphere felt almost serene, as though they had entered a different world altogether. Liam stopped near a bench and gestured for Emma to sit. "This is one of my favorite spots," he said, sitting down beside her. "It's where I come when I need to think or clear my mind." Emma took a seat, feeling a bit out of place but strangely comfortable at the same time. The soft breeze lifted her hair, and she looked out over the lake, her thoughts swirling. She had never expected her life to take this turn. Just a few days ago, she was stuck in her usual routine, barely scraping by, and now, here she was, sitting next to a CEO in a beautiful park, talking about her dreams like they were possible. It was surreal. "So," Liam began, breaking the silence, "you said you wanted to open an art studio. Tell me more about that. What's your vision?" Emma paused, her heart racing as she thought about the question. It felt different now, talking about her dreams with someone who actually seemed to believe in her. "I've always wanted to create a space where people can express themselves," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "Not just for me, but for others too. I want to teach art, but also offer a place where people can escape the stresses of life, even if just for a few hours. I've always believed art can heal, that it's a way to connect to something deeper inside ourselves. I want to offer that to others." Liam listened intently, nodding along as she spoke. "That's a beautiful vision," he said, his voice sincere. "And I can see why it's important to you. You've got the heart for it, Emma. That's what matters the most." Emma felt a flush of warmth at his words. No one had ever said anything like that to her before, not with such conviction. It made her feel like maybe she wasn't just chasing an impossible dream. Maybe it was something she could actually achieve. She took a deep breath, trying to hold on to the moment. "I don't know how I'll ever make it happen," she admitted, looking down at her hands. "I mean, it's hard. I don't have the money, I don't have the connections, and I'm not even sure where to start." Liam gave her a reassuring smile. You don't need to have all the answers right now, he said. But you've got something far more important, you've got passion, and you've got the drive. That's all you really need to start with. The rest can come later. It's about taking that first step, even when it feels scary or uncertain. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. Was he serious? Was this really happening? It was hard to believe that someone like Liam, a man with so much power and success, could be so genuine, so encouraging. She had always been told that people like him were too busy, too focused on their own lives to care about others. But here he was, offering his support without hesitation. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't crazy for dreaming big. Thank you, she whispered, the words feeling inadequate but full of meaning. I don't think I've ever had someone say that to me before. Liam's smile widened. I'm glad I could say it, he replied. And you know, if you ever need help, don't hesitate to reach out. You're not alone in this. Emma looked at him, feeling a mixture of gratitude and something else, something she couldn't quite name yet. She had been so focused on her struggles, on the things she didn't have, that she hadn't realized how much support was out there if she was just willing to accept it. As they sat in silence for a few moments, Emma began to feel something shift inside her. It was as though, by simply being here, by having this conversation with Liam, she was starting to believe in herself in a way she hadn't before. It wasn't about being perfect or having it all figured out, it was about taking that first step, and trusting that things would fall into place. I really appreciate this, she said finally, breaking the quiet. It's more than just advice. It feels like you're giving me a chance. Liam nodded. That's exactly what I'm doing. I think everyone deserves a chance to chase their dreams, no matter where they come from. You've got what it takes, Emma. I can see that. For the first time in what felt like forever, Emma felt her heart lighten. Maybe it was the way Liam was looking at her, like he truly saw her for who she was. Or maybe it was the quiet, peaceful atmosphere around them. Whatever it was, she realized that she wasn't just talking about her dreams anymore, she was starting to believe in them. And as the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the park, she realized that this might just be the beginning of something beautiful. So, Liam said, standing up and offering his hand again. Shall we take another walk? I think we've only just begun. Emma smiled, feeling a new sense of purpose swelling in her chest. I'd like that, she said softly, taking his hand once more. Together, they walked down the path, leaving the park behind them, but not the hope that had blossomed in Emma's heart. The walk continued through the park, the path winding alongside a small stream, and Emma couldn't help but feel like she was in a dream. The sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of pink and orange, and the atmosphere felt warm, almost magical. Liam had become more than just a stranger to her. He had become someone she could talk to, someone who seemed to understand her in a way no one else ever had. As they walked side by side, the world around them felt quiet, but there was a sense of peace that Emma hadn't experienced in a long time. I've been thinking, Liam said, breaking the comfortable silence between them. You know, about your art studio. If you ever need help getting started, I know a few people who could assist. I could even connect you with someone who could help with the business side of things. Emma looked at him, surprised. You really think you can help with that? She asked, her voice almost disbelieving. Liam smiled. Of course. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed by a dream, but also know that you need to take it step by step. I believe in what you want to do, Emma. It's not about just throwing money at something. It's about having the right people by your side. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Could this be real? Was he actually offering to help her make her dreams come true? She had always imagined that people like Liam, people with power and resources, would never notice someone like her, let alone offer to help. But here he was, offering his support, without any strings attached. I don't know what to say, Emma whispered, her voice catching in her throat. You're really offering to help me? Liam's expression softened, and he gently nudged her shoulder. You don't need to say anything. I just think it's a shame to see someone with your passion not have the chance to pursue it because of fear or lack of resources. I want to see you succeed. Emma stopped walking for a moment, letting the words sink in. She looked at him, her mind spinning. The idea of someone like Liam, a successful, powerful CEO, believing in her was almost too much to grasp. I've never had anyone believe in me like this before, she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. It's overwhelming. Liam stepped closer to her, his tone sincere. Emma, you're capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. Don't let fear or doubt hold you back. You deserve to have everything you've dreamed of. The warmth in his words felt like a balm on her soul, soothing the doubts and insecurities that had plagued her for years. Emma had always thought that her dreams were too big, too unrealistic, that she wasn't enough to make them come true. But with Liam's words, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was wrong. Thank you, she said, her voice full of emotion. I don't know what I'd do without you. Liam smiled, that same reassuring smile that made her feel safe. You won't have to find out. I'm not going anywhere. The promise in his words made Emma feel something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time, hope. Real hope. As they continued walking, Emma felt the weight of her worries lifting, replaced by the lightness of possibility. She had a long road ahead of her, and it wouldn't be easy. But with Liam's support, she knew she wasn't alone. The idea of opening an art studio, of following her passion, didn't seem like a far-off fantasy anymore. It felt within reach. Liam, I'm scared, she admitted, her voice soft. Scared that I'll fail, that it won't work out. Liam looked at her, his expression gentle but firm. That's normal. Fear is a part of growth, but it doesn't have to control you. You're already on the right path just by believing in yourself. And I'll be here, every step of the way. Emma nodded, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. For the first time in a long time, she truly believed that things could change. She could change. And maybe, just maybe, the future she had always dreamed of was within her grasp. As the evening sky darkened, they reached the edge of the park where the city lights began to twinkle in the distance. Liam stopped and turned to her. I know it's late, he said, but how about we grab dinner? We can talk more about your plans, or just enjoy the night. What do you think? Emma's heart lifted at the idea. It wasn't just about the dinner or the conversation, it was about feeling like she mattered, about feeling like she wasn't invisible. I'd like that, she replied, her smile brightening. Liam smiled back, his eyes softening as he led her toward the restaurant. The night ahead of them felt full of promise, and Emma couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. As they walked together, she realized that her life was changing in ways she never expected, and for the first time, she was ready to embrace it, ready to follow her dreams, whatever it took. The evening was still young when they arrived at the cozy bistro Liam had chosen. The soft glow of the lights inside the restaurant created an inviting atmosphere, and the hum of quiet conversation filled the air. It was the kind of place Emma could never have imagined herself in a few months ago. She had spent most of her life in places like fast food joints or inexpensive diners, always serving others, never feeling like she could truly be part of the world around her. But tonight, as she stepped into this restaurant with Liam, everything felt different. Liam held the door open for her, and she walked inside, her heart pounding slightly from the excitement and nerves she still couldn't quite shake off. As they were seated at a small table near the window, Emma glanced out at the city lights, her mind still trying to process everything that had happened over the past couple of days. From running out of the restaurant the night before to now sitting here with Liam, someone she never thought she would have a chance to even speak to, her life had changed in ways she couldn't have imagined. Liam smiled at her as he sat down. So, tell me more about what's been going on with you, he said casually, picking up his menu. What else do you want to accomplish besides the art studio? Emma hesitated for a moment, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of her napkin. She had never really thought about her future beyond the art studio, it had always been the one thing that consumed her. But now, with Liam's encouragement, she realized that there were other things she could do, other dreams she could chase. I don't know, she said slowly, her eyes on the menu, but her mind far away. I've always just worked to get by, you know? My whole life has been about surviving, not about thriving. But maybe I've been limiting myself. Maybe there's more I could do. I just never thought I had the chance. Liam leaned forward, his gaze steady. You've got the chance now, he said softly. You just need to take it. Emma's eyes met his, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like she wasn't alone in her struggle. I guess so, she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. It's just... I'm scared. Scared that I'll fail. Scared that I'll be disappointed, like I've always been. And I don't want to go through that again. Liam reached across the table, gently placing his hand over hers. His touch was warm, comforting. Failure is part of success, Emma, he said. You don't get to where you want to go without falling a few times. What matters is that you get up again. I can help you get back up, but only if you're willing to take that first step. Emma looked down at their hands, the weight of his words sinking in. She had been afraid of failure for so long that it had kept her from even trying. But maybe, just maybe, she was ready to change that. I want to try, she said, looking up at him with a small but determined smile. I really do. Liam's face softened as he smiled back, his eyes filled with warmth and something deeper, something she couldn't quite place yet. That's all I'm asking for, he said. Just try. And if you fall, I'll be here to help you get back on your feet. You're not in this alone, Emma. For a moment, Emma didn't know what to say. The sincerity in Liam's voice was overwhelming, and it made her realize just how much he believed in her. She had never felt this seen, this valued, in her entire life. She had always been the one helping others, the one giving, but now, for the first time, someone was offering her something she had never thought possible, a chance. A chance to finally believe in herself. The waiter came by to take their orders, and they both ordered their meals, but Emma's mind wasn't focused on the food. It was focused on the words Liam had just said to her, the promise he had made. As the evening wore on, Emma started to feel a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, she didn't feel afraid of it. With Liam by her side, she felt like she could take on anything. After dinner, they walked out into the cool night air, the streets quiet but alive with the energy of the city. Liam glanced at her, his hand brushing against hers. How are you feeling? He asked, his voice soft. Emma smiled, the weight of the past few days finally starting to lift. Better. A lot better, she said, her voice filled with a new sense of hope. I never thought I could feel this way. Liam chuckled. You've got a long way to go, but I believe in you, Emma. They walked together down the street, the lights of the city casting long shadows on the pavement. Emma felt like a different person, as though everything she had dreamed of was just a little bit closer now. Maybe she wasn't just chasing an impossible dream after all. Maybe. With Liam's support, she was about to make it a reality. Weeks went by, and Emma found herself in a rhythm she had never known before. She was still working at the restaurant, but every day after her shift, she dedicated herself to her dream. The sketches she had once done for herself now began to take shape into plans for her art studio. She started looking for potential locations, met with a few business advisors, and even signed up for a few grants that could help her get started. The process was slow, but with every small step, Emma felt a little more confident. And every step was made easier knowing that Liam was there, supporting her every way he could. They had spent more time together in the past few weeks than she ever imagined possible. Liam was always encouraging her to keep going, to push through the fear and the uncertainty. He connected her with people in the art community, some of whom gave her advice, and others who offered to collaborate. It was all more than she had ever hoped for, and she couldn't help but feel like she was finally moving toward something bigger than herself. It wasn't just the art studio anymore, it was her life, taking shape in front of her. One evening, after a particularly long day of meetings, Emma and Liam sat together at a small cafe. Emma had just finalized the paperwork on the lease for a small storefront, and she was buzzing with excitement. She had taken a huge leap, and now everything felt so much more real. Liam looked at her, his expression soft and proud. "You're doing it, Emma. You're actually doing it," he said, his voice full of admiration. Emma smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "I can't believe it. I mean, just a few months ago, I was a mess. I didn't think this was possible." Liam reached across the table, gently brushing his fingers against hers. "I knew it was possible. You just needed to believe in yourself." Emma's smile faltered slightly. "It's still hard, though. There's so much to do, and I'm scared I'll mess it up. What if I'm not good enough? What if no one shows up?" Liam squeezed her hand, his gaze steady. "Emma, you've already done more than most people ever do. You took a risk, and you didn't run away. That's more than enough. You've got this, I know you do." Emma looked down at their intertwined hands, feeling a swell of emotion that she wasn't quite ready to face. She had never been good at accepting compliments, never been good at accepting help, but with Liam, it was different. He wasn't just offering advice or empty words, he was genuinely there for her, every step of the way. She had learned to trust him in ways she never thought she would trust anyone. "I don't know what I'd do without you," she said quietly, her voice full of gratitude. Liam smiled, the warmth in his eyes almost overwhelming. "You'd be just fine, Emma. But I'm glad I'm here to help. I believe in you more than you know." They sat there for a while, just enjoying each other's company, the world outside seeming to fade away. It wasn't just the art studio anymore, it was everything they had talked about in the past weeks, their dreams, their plans, their lives intertwining in a way that felt right. After a while, they left the cafe and walked down the street, the cool night air wrapping around them like a blanket. Liam stopped suddenly, turning to face her. "Emma," he said, his tone serious but soft. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you." Emma looked at him, her heart racing. Was it possible he was going to say what she thought he might? "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam took a deep breath, his gaze never leaving hers. "I don't just want to help you with your dreams, Emma. I want to be a part of them. I want to be with you. I've never met anyone like you. You make me believe in something more than myself. You've changed my life." Emma stood there, frozen for a moment, the words sinking in. Could this be real? Did he really mean it? Her heart skipped a beat as she searched his eyes, looking for the sincerity she had come to trust. "Liam," she whispered, "I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," he replied, his voice full of warmth. "But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. I want to be with you, Emma. Whatever happens." For a moment, Emma didn't know what to say. Her mind was spinning. But one thing was clear, the feelings she had for Liam were stronger than she had ever admitted. She had never imagined she'd find someone who believed in her so much, someone who would stand by her as she chased her dreams. But here he was. And for the first time, she felt like she wasn't just dreaming. She was living it. Slowly, she reached out and placed her hand on his chest. "I want that too," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "I want us to do this, together." Liam's smile was soft, his eyes full of joy. "Then we'll do it," he said, pulling her into a gentle embrace. "Together, we'll do this." As Emma stood there in his arms, she realized that her life was no longer just about the art studio or the dreams she had once thought were impossible. It was about the connection they had, about the future they could build together. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly, completely alive. Months passed since that night in the park, and Emma's life had transformed in ways she never imagined. The art studio she had dreamed about for so long was finally becoming a reality. She had worked tirelessly to create a space that felt warm and inviting, a place where people could come and express themselves through art, just as she had always wanted. The walls of the studio were now filled with vibrant paintings, sketches, and the echoes of laughter and conversation as people from all walks of life gathered to explore their creativity. But it wasn't just the art studio that had changed her life. Her relationship with Liam had grown in ways she couldn't have predicted. From the moment they had taken that first walk together, everything had fallen into place. They had become more than just friends or business partners, they had become a team. Liam had continued to support her, not just in her dreams, but in every aspect of her life. He was there when she faced doubts, there when she needed a helping hand, and there when she needed someone to remind her that she was capable of more than she believed. One evening, after a long day at the studio, Emma sat on the couch in her small apartment, flipping through a book of sketches when her phone rang. It was Liam. "Hey, how's it going?" he asked, his voice light and warm. Emma smiled, her heart lifting just hearing his voice. "It's going great," she replied. "The studio's been busy, but in the best way. I think we're finally getting the word out there. People are really starting to come in, and I'm so excited to see where this goes." Liam chuckled softly. "I'm proud of you, Emma. You've come a long way from the person I met in the park." Emma paused, a smile tugging at her lips as she thought back to that moment. "I never would have gotten here without you," she said quietly. "You believed in me when I couldn't even believe in myself." Liam's voice softened. "I always knew you had it in you. You just needed someone to remind you." Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "You've been more than just support, you've been my partner in all of this. I can't imagine doing this without you." There was a pause on the other end of the line, and Emma could hear Liam take a deep breath. "Actually, Emma, there's something I've been wanting to ask you," he said, his tone suddenly more serious. Emma's heart skipped a beat, and she sat up straighter, a sense of anticipation rising in her chest. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam took a moment before responding. "I know we've been through a lot together, and we've built something incredible, both personally and professionally. And I want to keep building that with you." Emma's breath caught in her throat. "Liam." "Emma," Liam continued, his voice full of emotion, "I don't want to just build a future with you in business. I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me?" Emma's mind went completely blank for a second. Her heart was racing, and she could feel tears welling up in her eyes. Was this really happening? Was Liam, the man who had supported her through everything, the man who had become her everything, asking her to spend forever with him? "Liam," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Yes. Yes, I'll marry you." A laugh of pure joy escaped Liam's lips, and Emma could hear the relief in his voice. "I'm so glad you said yes," he said, his voice full of warmth. "You've made me the happiest man in the world." Emma's heart was soaring. She couldn't believe it, everything she had ever wanted was right here in this moment. They had built something beautiful together, and now they were taking the next step, hand in hand. The road ahead wasn't going to be without challenges, but Emma knew, with Liam by her side, they could handle anything. As she looked around the room, at the walls filled with her artwork, at the future she had fought so hard to create, Emma realized that her life was no longer defined by fear, doubt, or insecurity. It was defined by love, by the belief in herself, and by the incredible partnership she had found with Liam. They had both come a long way, and now, they were ready for the next chapter of their lives. Together. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of excitement and joy, as Emma and Liam talked about the future, about their plans, about their dreams. But one thing was clear, whatever challenges they would face them together. As Emma lay in bed that night, her hand resting on her chest, she smiled softly. She had made it. She had gone from a waitress with big dreams to a woman who was living her dreams, with the man she loved by her side. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly at home, knowing that the future was full of endless possibilities. The future, with Liam, was just beginning.